Hey y'all, I thought that today I would come and I would make a video and do something a little different, okay? It's cold and flu season right now. It's scratchy throat season. It's the tickle in the back of your throat season, right? And especially if you live in a northern climate or a climate where you are using your heat in your home, you know this is the time that heat's gonna make your skin itch and dry, your throat is gonna be dried out, your nasal passages are gonna be dried out. And your nose and your throat are your first line of defense against colds and flu and strep and all these, and COVID and all of these other germs out here. So what happens when you don't have the natural fluids in your nose and in your throat is you're more susceptible to colds and flu. So I am going to give you something that my grandmother used to give me when I was a little girl to try to help to keep those colds and the flu at bay. Now, maybe your mother made this for you, maybe your grandmother made it for you, maybe you make it for yourself. There are so many different recipes for this out here, but I am going to tell you what I typically use, what I make every year, and this is what I grew up on, so this is what I'm accustomed to. I'm gonna be making a honey, lemon, and liquor, and I don't know what to call it. I don't know, it's not a, I don't want to call it a cough medicine. I don't want to call it a cold prevention. I just call it a concoction. So none of the recipes that you may find online or that you're accustomed to are wrong. It's whatever suits you. You know, some people will put mint in it. Some people will put onions in it, garlic in it, ginger in it. It just really depends. But this is what I find is the most palatable for people who don't really care for icky things, or have a problem with bad taste, getting bad tasting things down. Like, I don't know if you ever had to take cod liver oil or castor oil or something when you was a kid. I've never been good with yuck. So this works really, really well because it's sweet. The liquor has that nice burn when it goes down, and that little twang from the lemon. So typically, most of my videos, I will either give you some information or a story, or sometimes I'll give you both. So today, I'm gonna give you both. Now, one disclaimer that I wanna make is that I am not giving medical advice, okay? Don't come for me with your attorneys talking about you took this and you got sick because of it and you wanna sue me. No, that's not gonna happen. We are all adults here. Use your own judgment. If you have some health conditions that you need to talk to your doctor first and say, is it okay if I take this every night before I go to bed? Then I suggest you do that. So just to let you know the benefits for this. Now, as I said, you have your dry throat, it's scratchy, it's itchy, maybe you're coughing, or maybe you're just feeling okay, but you want to make sure that you stay healthy or just give yourself a leg up on being healthy. Honey is a great antibacterial. Lemon is a great antibacterial. And I don't know what the liquor does other than make it taste good, but it works. I'm assuming the alcohol probably kills some germs or something, I don't know. But now, as I said, my grandmother used to give this to me growing up. So 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. I used to take a teaspoon of this during cold and flu season every night before I went to bed. Do not give honey to a child under 2 years old. Your pediatrician will tell you that. If you're not already knowledgeable about that, that is something that you're not supposed to do, okay? If you are diabetic, you probably need to check with your doctor first. I would say maybe you would be okay if you're diet controlled or if you are on like oral medication like metformin, but if you're on insulin, I probably would not mess with this because of the honey in it. if you're saying, well, Malika, you're giving liquor, something with liquor in it to a kid, yeah, I turned out fine, I think. And you have parents out there that are pumping these kids with melatonin gummies or giving them Benadryl at night when they don't have no rash, no itching, they just want them to go to sleep. So to me, this is the better alternative. It's natural. You know, that little bit of liquor that you give them in the teaspoon is not going to turn them into no raging alcoholics as a kid. And they're not going to be walking around smelling like little drunks in the morning when they go to school. So I think they'll be fine. Now, when it comes to being in Merida, typically with the Yucatecan cuisine, they use the sour oranges or they use lime. So it can be kind of hard to find lemons. Now, I did find lemons at Costco today. I have seen lemons in other grocery stores, but I'm gonna tell you why I didn't buy any. So if I were using those lemons just for the juice, it would be okay because they didn't look so hot on the outside. But because I am slicing these lemons up and putting them in the jar with the rind on them, I don't want real ugly lemons sitting in my jar. That's just a personal preference. Maybe it doesn't matter to you, but I want pretty lemons in my jar. And of course, you need to know, because you are using the lemon with the rind on it, that you are going to have to scrub it really well. And I would recommend using the microdine soak to make sure that you get any bacteria that is on the lemon rind off before you put it in your jar. Now, this concoction can sit on your counter. It doesn't need to go in the refrigerator. It can sit on your counter for 2-3 months, really, and all it's gonna do is steep and get stronger and more potent, but it's still gonna be really good. You don't have to worry about it going bad, as long as the jar that you put it in or the container you put it in is very clean. Now, I would recommend using a glass container only. What you can do, depending on how much you're gonna make, whether you're making some just for yourself or you're making some for like a larger family, is just use the liquor bottle. Take the liquor out that you're using and put it into the liquor bottle, and then that way you don't have to buy anything extra. But you can use a mason jar. I'm using an empty Prego spaghetti sauce jar. So, it's whatever you want to use. Just make sure it's very, very clean, including the lid, and make sure it's airtight. When it comes to the type of liquor you use, I prefer to use whiskey. I'm using Jack Daniels. I have made it once before with, I think it was bourbon. I didn't particularly care for it with bourbon. It didn't give me that good burn when it went down, because bourbon is a lot smoother. So I would recommend a whiskey, but you can always use whatever liquor you choose. Now, I've always used dark liquor. I've never used anything like a vodka or anything like that. That might be interesting, but I do know that vodka and lemons make limoncello. So, okay, I can't get this camera down here right because I'm not no TV chef. I don't know how to do this. So I'm just gonna hold stuff up for you. So these were the lemons that I bought at Costco today. And see how pretty these lemons are? I don't know if Costco always has lemons, but I can tell you the other grocery stores I went to, they look like they've been run over by trucks and everything else. They look really bad. This is the microdine, if you're not familiar with this, that you want to clean any vegetables or fruits. Now just know, here's the tip. The bigger bottle of microdine like this is not as concentrated as the little small dropper. So you're gonna have to use more of this than you would of the little small dropper, which is very concentrated. This is the jar that I'm gonna make mine in. This was the Prego tomato sauce jar. Got my Jack Daniels. And this is the honey from here. if you want to really, if you're in the States, if you can get it, and you really want to give it a boost, you can use Manuka honey, which is, I think, from Australia or New Zealand. And it's kind of, well, not kind of expensive, it's very expensive, but I have read that it has many more added health benefits than just regular honey. Okay, I'm gonna try to have it at this angle while I'm making it, and I'll tell you my little story, and I hope you guys can hear me. So, as I said, when I was a little girl, my grandmother used to give me that teaspoon, and I used to beg for more, right? Because it was really good. Now, mainly probably because I had a sweet tooth. I don't really think I was a lush that young, but I did like the burn from that liquor. It was a, you know, like a new taste for me. So I would beg for another teaspoon, and she sometimes would give me another half. Sometimes she would just tell me to go to bed. So I was a bad kid, right? Really, really, really bad. Always in trouble, always getting whoopings. So I used to sneak in her room when she wasn't in there, because I was one of those kind of kids that rambled through everything, nosy. And I would see this jar, and a couple times I went in the jar and took a little bit out. Now, you know, old people, they have this like sense. I don't know, and I mean old school old people. I don't mean like old people my age, but I mean back in the day, old people that just have skills that we don't have nowadays, right? So these old people know when you win in something just by looking at it. It doesn't even matter if you only took a tiny bit out, they know. So after getting caught a couple times and getting whoopings a couple times, I had to determine whether it was worth getting whoopings for. You know, you gotta prioritize that stuff when you're a bad kid. Like, save the bad deeds for things that are worth getting a whooping for. And this was not one of them. So what I used to do was, when I snuck in her room, you know, after she would give me her teaspoon and give my grandfather a teaspoon and do this day after day after day, and then she would shake it up before, you know, the bottle wasn't always clean. It would be sticky because stuff would be dripping all over it. So I would just sneak in there and I'd lick the bottle. I'd lick all around the bottle, up and down, lick the rim of the bottle, because I'm getting, you know, the honey, the lemon, everything. And I never got caught. So that was my way of getting extra, even though I didn't sneak and go inside of it. So I know you're asking me, well, Malika, what's the recipe for this? I don't know. All I can tell you is you don't want it to be too thick with honey, but you don't get the burn from the liquor. You don't want it too thin because of the liquor and the honey doesn't coat your throat. So my recommendation is to just mix little bits at a time until you get the right thickness. So I mixed so far some honey and some liquor. Gonna mix this up real good. Let me see if I can turn this around where you can see it. And actually this is not enough, so I need this to last me the whole cold and flu season. So now, as far as the lemon, for a jar like this, I sliced up 1 lemon. I may wind up putting maybe half of the lemon to see if that's gonna be enough, and then maybe work my way up to 3/4 of the lemon. I think it was a small lemon. I think 3/4 of the lemon might work. Once you put the lemon inside, you're gonna wanna take something and macerate a couple of pieces of it so that I don't know what those are called either, those little individual little pockets that hold the juice. But you want to bust some of those so that lemon juice will get out into your concoction here. And if you have, like say for instance, you're making it in a bottle like this, then you may need to cut your lemons in quarters, which is fine. So as you're smashing them down inside this little lid, then it'll macerate them enough. Okay, I just tasted it. Too much honey, no liquor burn yet. So I'm gonna mix this up. So let me tell you what I did one year. I was on my little Martha Stewart creative kick. So for the holiday season, I made cookies and I put them in cookie tins. But I also went and bought mason jars, and I made, for each family that I was giving gifts to, I made a jar of this. I took my Cricut, I made some nice little decorative stickers for the jar. I bought some pretty ribbon in black and yellow, like bees, to tie around the jar and put it in a nice gift bag. And that was my accompaniment to my homemade cookies. And that was a great gift idea, I thought. People really appreciated it. So, you know, if you want to try something like that, that would be really nice for the holidays. So let's try this. Nope, still not enough. Okay. And then once, see, it's all over the jar, y'all. Okay, so once this gets mixed up good enough, then I'll go ahead and put that lemon in and let this sit on the counter, like I said. And then every night, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna take no teaspoon. I'll probably take a big old tablespoon of it, maybe 2. And then that'll be the end of my night. Okay, y'all, it is almost there. Almost. I can taste the burn just a little bit, but it's still thick enough for a good, can you see that? Good enough for a honey coat for your throat. So, oh, that's so good, but it don't burn. We need it to burn. You gotta get that liquor burn. That's important. And then once that lemon gets in there, it'll just be super fabulous. Don't put too much lemon in it, okay? Let me show you, if you can see. This is the lemon that I cut. So this is how much I have. You don't wanna put too much lemon in it because it'll just make it cloudy and real icky looking. And then the lemon also is gonna water it down a little bit. So you don't wanna put too much of that in there. That's why I said I'm gonna start off with half a lemon and work my way up. And guys, when you get ready to take it at night, make sure you shake it up a little bit so that, because it's gonna separate some, so you wanna make sure that all the ingredients are incorporated really well before you take a teaspoon or tablespoon. Okay guys, here is the finished product. Got my lemons in there. I'll keep rotating it every day, keep it going. But this is going to last me. And inside, I got the seeds out. I don't know if you can see that. That's the seed. I could have sworn I pulled the seeds out, but you can also see some of the, like I said, I don't know what the name of them things are from the inside of the lemon, but you can see those floating around a little bit from where I macerated it. Okay, just as a FYI, so you saw this is 1.05 kilograms, so I used about half of that bottle. And then this is the Jack Daniels. I went down to maybe a little bit past the label, like down by this notch. So maybe a quart, well, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a quarter of the bottle, but almost a quarter of the bottle. And I did use 1 whole lemon, and it was about this size.